The remains of a missing Fort Myers woman were found in a shallow grave in the Texas desert. But 14 years later, the man who admitted to burying her still hasn't been charged in connection to her murder.
And I held my sister's bones in my hand. No brother should ever have to endure that.
The family of 28-year-old Mary Mount is talking for the first time since Mary's disappearance and death in 2004. This man, convicted murderer Terry McDonald, admitted to stuffing Mary's body in a duffel bag, driving to Texas, and burying her. Her family asked Wink News investigative reporter Lauren Sweeney to find out why, more than a decade later, he's never been charged with their loved one's murder.
No mother wants to go to the cemetery to visit their child.
She was just a good kid.
But it's the only place Dottie Knapp can visit her daughter Mary, who died at just 28 years old.
I just miss her company.
In the months before Mary's death, she was going through a divorce and had moved back home with her mother. Her family says that's when a very vulnerable Mary met a man playing an online game.
She felt like this is a good thing. You know, I can start a new life, a new future with somebody.
Just before Christmas in 2003, Mary paid for Terry Daniel McDonald to come to Florida from Washington.
And I said, I don't think that's a good idea, Mary.
Within 2 weeks of him showing up, Mary disappeared.
You never think that your sister is just going to fall off the face of the earth. I mean, never speak to her again.
But then in early 2004, detectives located McDonald with Mary's car in Texas. He had her jewelry and credit cards, but no sign of Mary.
If we can't find her, it's because he killed her.
When McDonald was brought back to Lee County, he was only charged with burglary, nothing in connection to Mary's disappearance.
I'm sure the thought back then was there's probable cause for burglary. We can continue investigating where is Mary Mount.
Dan Feinberg is the current prosecutor on Mary's case.
And there was certainly probable cause, and I think there was enough to get a conviction. The jury saw it differently.
It felt like somebody stabbing you in the heart because I was angry, and I still to this day am angry.
After McDonald was found not guilty for burglary, the story takes an even darker turn. He moved to El Paso, Texas, and within a year, murdered his roommate, burying him in the backyard.
Can you see why maybe that looks unfavorable on this office, that after he was acquitted here, he went and murdered someone?
No, I don't think it looks unfavorable at all. It looks to me like we did our best to prosecute him for something that we could prove.
McDonald's now serving a life sentence for the Texas murder. While awaiting trial in that case, he finally started talking about what happened to Mary, saying he'd only moved to El Paso to be close to where he buried her body, and then led detectives to her remains near the Mexico border.
I'm glad we found her, but if this county had stepped up, somebody else maybe wouldn't have had to die.
McDonald admitted to everything but killing Mary, saying she died after rough sex, so he freaked out, stuffed her in a duffel bag, and left Florida.
I remember calling the state attorney's office and I said, you wanted a body? Now you got one, so what are you gonna do?
14 years later, Mary's murder is still considered an active investigation.
All this time, 14 years, she's been dead, she's been murdered. Somebody killed her and got away with it for 14 years.
This is a case where there's a lot of circumstantial evidence. If there was sufficient evidence to take the case to court already, I would have sought that.
What did they do? They turned their back on her and they said, well, we just can't do anything.
So at this point, did the state attorney's office give you any kind of time frame on when there might be charges?
No, just that they're actively working it and McDonald is a suspect. But the Lee County Sheriff's Office told me today that he's actually been a suspect and they've had an active warrant out for him since 2004. That's before he murdered the Texas man.
You just hear the pain in that family and it's just so heartbreaking, really.
It's devastating, and she was very brave to talk to me and explain her frustration. I did send McDonald a letter in prison and reached out to his attorney, but haven't heard back. I also want to point out Prosecutor Dan Feinberg was not involved in trying McDonald's 2004 burglary case, but has been assigned to Mary's case since 2009. You can see an extended version of my interview with him on the Wink News app.
Okay, Lauren, thank you.